Welcome everybody, one and all, to the first edition and the return of two of my best friends here, and we are going to give it the shitty and dating ourselves kind of name of the VCR Podcast. So, welcome one and all everybody, I'm Adam aka CSRadical here. In front of me I got Vishal from Vishal's Views. How you doing, Vish?
Hey guys, doing great. I can't wait to, you're going to have a lot of fun today.
And also I got Mr. Not the form, or the internet personality formerly known as Chris Meister, now Gin and Chris. How's it going, buddy?
Great. It's going really, really great.
Would you like some gin?
I would love some gin.
I will get some gin.
See, it's funny, though, because it feels like if you're going to go G and C, I can't believe it's not Guinness and Chris. Or Christmas.
Yeah. I do like that.
People, trust me, this guy's blood type is 00 Guinness.
Christmas. I kind of like that. I don't know. But no, I like G&Ts too, gin and tonics. Also, who doesn't like a nice tall glass of gin and Chris, right?
Yeah, exactly. As a side note, guys, just remember, I know these mics are a little finicky, but don't talk deadly into them, because the spikes I'm already seeing a little bit. It's first time, guys, we're learning this. I'm also using a new mixer for the first time, so this is going to be a little bit interesting. But this podcast, straight up, is going to be what happens when you take a dice of topics and just whip it at the wall and hope it lands on something good. Because we don't have a format, honestly. We decided literally 5 minutes before we started what we're going to talk about, but it's probably not going to be like this all the time. Not to mention, because if anybody has known me very well on this channel, I ramble like a son of a bitch.
Like right now.
Yes, exactly.
I kind of wish we had actual dice so we could just throw them at the wall and actually play this epic version of Dungeons and Dragons.
Please, no Dungeons and Dragons, anything but that.
All right, so let's see if we talk about something stupid today. Roll the dice and roll 2 for initiative, and let's see what happens. But no, so we do have a few set things just because we want to open this up as being an introductory podcast. So what we are going to do every single time that we do this, which I have no idea how often this will be. We've been trying to do this for how long have we been talking about doing this?
Definitely since spring 2019.
We've definitely talked about maybe sometime once in a blue moon getting together and doing a podcast.
Last time I think we did it, it was December 2016.
It was before
we saw Rogue One that night.
Yeah,
right before Rogue One.
So
in another 3 years, we definitely have another one lined up.
We'll be coming before then.
Yeah.
In 2 years.
It is what it is. So anyways, we're going to start off every podcast that we do with the same kind of traditional introduction to everything. So let's start with you, Chris. What have you been either playing or what are you watching that's really got your attention right now?
Well, playing-wise, to be completely honest, I'm finally playing The Witcher 3. I just started.
I saw that, actually.
About 6 days ago, a week ago?
I never played any of The Witchers, but I hear they're epic.
The third one is
definitely where you go. If 1 and 2 are challenging. I tried both and couldn't get too far into them. 2 especially, because it's hard as shit.
Yeah.
What about the story? Do you have to play the first two?
Not really.
The story? Is it like
there is a continuous story, and it actually takes place after the books. Well, after the first 5 books, I believe it is. So technically, you should read 5 books, then play the 3 games in order.
But I mean,
if you want to go with the overarching
can
story.
you skip the 5 books in the first 2 games?
I went into it cold and I wasn't lost.
Yeah, if you go
there are people that you may not know, but the story is good enough that you can probably get by without knowing any of the people in it.
No. So if weird comparison, let's just say it's not like Lord of the Rings where it's just one giant story that's continuous, where if you watched Return of the King without watching the first one, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Where with it's more like the Blade series, the OG Blade series from the 90s and early 2000s, where each Blade movie had its own story essentially.
Yeah.
No, they're definitely connected. If you read the books and you start on book 4, it starts off literally right after.
Yeah, you'll know exactly
book
what's going. If you know the entire books, you know what's going.
So is it the Smallville formula, where there was one large story in the background per season, but each episode had its own individual story?
I say it's more about Lord of the Rings are actually pretty close. So if you watched all 3 Lord of the Rings movies, you have to watch all those as like a trilogy, and that's how the books work too, much like the Lord of the Rings books did. But if you were to play a Lord of the Rings game after, and you haven't seen the movies, you can still very much enjoy the Lord of the Rings game, because it's just running around and you understand that you're a guy or an elf, and there's orcs in your fight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Witcher 3 I went in, I mean, I knew of some of the stuff in between it, but I didn't know anything about Triss or Yennefer or even Ciri. Like, Ciri, I think they more or less introduced in this game.
Yeah, it's the first time she's in the game, but throughout the books, it's actually about Geralt getting to Ciri and protecting her and finding her and all that.
The Netflix show that's coming out with Henry Cavill,
yeah.
Is it based on the game, or is its own unique?
Well, it's based off the
story.
novels,
It's
but
based on the books.
It's based like the entire thing is one whole series. It's all retelling everything.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure where they're starting and how far deep they're going in with that first season.
It looked like it was introducing Yennefer and how she became a sorceress.
Yes.
Which is... The first 2 Witcher books were very interesting because they weren't full novels, they were short stories. But all the short stories kind of tied together, and it was just like one adventure after the other, much like your Blade reference that you were just mentioning.
Okay.
Guys. Different stories. But in the end, when you got to the end of the book, there was still like an overarching small story. Like one character that flowed through the whole thing or something. And that was the first 2 books, and that's when they introduced Yennefer,
Okay.
so it might be there.
I got a better reference than what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Infinity Saga. Every movie in the MCU had its own story, but in the end, it was Thanos getting the Infinity Stones. That was the story behind everything. Is
I
it
mean,
like this?
in a way, yes, but in a way, no, because it's still all central to Geralt. Whereas with the
Geralt's the
MCU,
main
it's
character.
several different character stories.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just Geralt is more along the lines of he's the Thanos of that series. He is involved with everything in a way.
Yeah.
Well, no, he doesn't snap people
There's
out of
no
existence.
snap.
He slices
has
their
2
head
swords.
off.
2 swords.
But so anyway, so how's the gameplay going for you?
It's really, really good.
Have you gotten to the Baron quest yet?
No, not yet.
Yeah, that's
No, I know that one, but I have not
That's
got there
where you're
yet.
going to get tested.
Yeah. No, I have not very far, less than 10 hours or maybe 10 hours into it.
Yeah, I put like 150 into it.
Oh, wow.
And I could have done more. Well, I completed as much as I could, and I could have done more with, say, the DLC that had come out, which I still haven't played, and apparently is amazing.
Yeah,
How
that's
much-
like 100 hours or more to the game.
Yeah,
How much do you have to play to just really do the story mode and just do the main part?
probably 50, 60.
Yeah, I would say 50, 60.
Oh, okay,
If
so
you
it's
want to
like-
just do the story
I mean-
and focus only on it.
It probably could even be quicker than that, but it would be harder because you wouldn't be leveling as fast.
Yeah, that's the
Like
hard
doing
part.
all the side missions is going to help you get a lot more prepared, both in terms of your stats and in terms of all the equipment you'll have.
Yeah. It's a huge open world. It's insane.
It's very easy to get lost in it, and there's so many like characters that you like, and then there's so many that you're like, I'm gonna fucking cut your goddamn head off.
Yeah.
It's good
Oh,
at
yeah.
that. What about you, Vish?
Okay, so unfortunately, I haven't been able to game much lately. The last game I played, finished, and loved, didn't just like, I absolutely loved it, was the Spider-Man game for the PS4.
Yes.
Which
Chris is very
here
jealous right now.
Yes,
Doesn't
very
have
jealous.
a PS4.
No,
So,
I do not.
However, I am going to be lending my PS4 and Spider-Man to him when I get Spider-Man back from a friend of mine. So, Spider-Man, by all means, the Arkham Knight series is better for now.
Well, yeah, but it's got like 4 or 5 games to go
yes,
with it.
that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Spider-Man started off way better and stronger than Arkham Asylum.
If you get
did.
3 of these in a row, holy shit, that's clocking Arkham, and like that's like
Yeah.
Super Smash Brothers home run bat level content.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you one thing, the ending is something that it was really ballsy to do.
Oh yeah, no, I was telling you guys before any of you played. Well, I guess you played it. That game decides to be like, you know what? This is our own version of the Spider-Man universe, and all these taboos you think we won't cross, we're gonna cross several of them the first time.
So one really cool thing is Mary Jane is her own character. Like, you play as her a few times, but she's actually her own character. She's not just some typical superhero girlfriend. She is actually a really awesome character in this. And they need to put this type of Mary Jane, or MJ now, into the MCU. Like,
I mean, they're kind of doing that because MJ
Yeah.
in the movies is at least she's smart as fuck. She's not a dumbass.
Oh, yeah, that's
Zendaya's
true.
character, yeah.
Yeah, no, and she's really witty. She's really cool. She's not like who is pointless. She's not like Superman Returns Lois Lane.
Ah.
I thought
Yeah,
that whole
that's-
movie was pointless.
Yeah, I know. You're talking to a guy who is a huge Marvel and DC fan, clearly, and
If looking around this room, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, there's Batman stuff.
There,
For
there,
those
there-
who can't
there's,
see
there's,
the
there's
words.
not several Batman, Superman, and other posters.
hey, for the record, you gave me that one.
I did give you the Injustice 2 poster, which is like the one cool thing my work's ever done.
Justice 2 is one of the best fighting games in general, not just superhero games, but one of the best fighting games. The graphics are, I think, the pinnacle of video
The
game
graphics were better than Mass Effect Andromeda's, which makes zero sense. How is a fighting game better off?
But
I don't know.
So watching, I just recently finished the season 3 of Glow. For those who haven't watched it yet, you should. It's hilarious. However, to all of our female listeners, the two of you.
Wait, we have 2 female viewers?
In the future.
Man, we're
speaking
moving
to
up.
them in the future.
We're moving on.
So it is horribly offensive to women, but I came to realize
It's supposed to be.
It is because it's based in the 80s, and that was the time where women started really fighting for equality, and guys like Harvey Weinstein were untouchable back then.
Yeah.
Like there was one scene, spoiler alert, you had 2 big shot producers walking into the wrestlers' change room, and they're all in thongs, bras, and it's just like that type of shit would not fly now.
Dude,
but back then,
that shit was still happening in like the 90s, like early 2000s in the Attitude Era, because there were still the rumors that Vince was like using his power a little bit too much in the WWE.
Oh, Vince McMahon is just as terrible of a human being as Roger Goodell is.
Yeah.
I don't know actually who is worse. Who would you guys think is worse?
What?
Roger Goodell or Vince McMahon? Granted, you are a wrestling fan, so maybe biased. And Chris, you don't watch football or wrestling.
I watched wrestling. I watched a lot.
It depends.
Not football at all.
Because I mean, Goodell's probably the worst of 2 evils. But I kind of hate Vince more because he should be able to have a product that's so much better than it is, and he just doesn't do it because he's the type of guy that would rather make $1 his way than $100 somebody else's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And also, actually, one thing I recently saw, it was a bit of nostalgia, the Rocko's Modern Life movie that's on Netflix right now.
Yeah.
Because back in the 90s, I absolutely loved that show, and I thought it was a ton of fun. Our other friend, Adam, just joined us.
Shit,
Adam
there's another one of me?
Adam is a non-nerd.
Is this a phone sex podcast? 'Cause I'm in.
How did he know?
So Adam,
Oh,
So
because
sorry,
we're not
this
wearing
is-
any pants.
Trick,
Oh, there it is.
trick. We fooled you here. This isn't
Why are
the
you guys
VCR
shirtless?
podcast. Oh man.
Okay, dude, I'm shirtless and pantless, so you could ask me as well.
We were supposed to wear pants.
I don't even own pants.
I feel like that part's getting cut out of the podcast.
No, I'm keeping the shit in.
Okay, that's awesome.
But anyways,
It might be fun to have Adam involved with this as well as a non-nerd perspective.
I don't know what's going on.
Well,
I don't know what I'm locked into.
would you like a beverage?
I'm good for now. I'm just very confused.
Okay, we're doing a podcast.
we're recording a live podcast.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking about like what we've seen, what we've played, and we're going to talk about. Actually, you may enjoy this part. We're going to talk about a controversial topic that has a certain president involved.
That is totally phenomenal.
I'm sorry,
Adam. President.
Adam,
You can be our guest, Trump.
I'll be the guest Trump, and I'll
Yeah.
answer for him.
Yeah.
Perfect.
ladies
I
and
like
gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Adam Trump.
Why do you speak so damn close to the mic? I told you not to.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for welcoming me to this totally phenomenal and beautiful event. This basement we're in, it almost looks like Mar-a-Lago. Not quite, but it's almost there. Thank you guys. Fantastic to be here. Totally.
Perfect. Well,
So as I've been ranting on for the past little bit, Adam, tell us, what are you playing and what are you watching?
I'm all over the goddamn place right now because I'm in that stage where I've not really have anything that I'm like dead wanting to play. It's also I don't have a lot of time to go into a crazy hour-long game or hours plus long game.
Okay, I was going to say an hour-long game, you can finish that in literally an hour.
Shh! Don't do math for me. But I'm playing a couple of different things right now. I finally took a real shot into XCOM 2 finally, which for those who don't know is a tactical turn-based strategy game. That's almost like a lot like what Tactics Over and Final Fantasy Tactics Advance were like. And it's basically along the lines of aliens invading. And in the first game they did, it was aliens invading Earth, whereas this one, aliens have taken over, and now you are getting the jump on them and trying to get things back to where they were.
Yeah, I was a big fan of XCOM 1.
Like
Yeah,
illegal
well, they're-
aliens.
No, those are no different aliens.
Totally horrible.
Different aliens.
Build the wall.
No, the wall clearly failed on this one.
I saw the
No,
greatest
you can duck behind
t-shirt
walls and
in
it helps
Mexico.
with
Chest high
defense.
wall. No, I don't think Trump was looking for chest high walls.
No, big, beautiful walls.
Alright, sorry to interrupt, but I went to Mexico recently and I saw a
Run.
t-shirt there. I did. I saw a t-shirt there. It was a great t-shirt ever. It said, "Keep calm. You're on the fun side of Trump's wall."
That's
That's
good.
stupid.
It was phenomenal.
Horrible. That's fake news. That's fake podcast. Fake news.
But the game itself is actually like a lot of fun. Going back to XCOM, it's stressful. Even playing on an easier difficulty that I do because I don't have it in me to play on the super hard difficulties because, as I've said before with games like Sekiro and Dark Souls and all those kind of games, is I can't bother to play those because I barely have enough time to play as it is. So why would I spend it just getting my ass handed to me? So
Is Sekiro a really hard game? Or?
It's made by the same guys who do Dark Souls. It's a little more streamlined because it's ninja, so it's a little faster.
Yeah.
But it still intentionally
what?
tries to kill you.
I downloaded Dark Souls, but I realized it's an online only game. It's not like a story mode.
Yeah, well,
or
it's because it uses like all the blood stains, so people tell you what to do. So I guess it probably requires that. But other than that, the only other one I've been playing has been Sniper Elite 4 that just got put on for free on PlayStation. And what can you have against just shooting Nazis endlessly?
It's not just that sniper rifles are fun.
Well, yeah, but just Nazis shooting real Nazis.
That's why I enjoy playing through Wolfenstein: The New Order recently.
I've heard that the new one, though, Youngblood, is one you stay the fuck away from.
Yeah, I heard it's not great. I hear you can't
Video
even
games kill
pause
kids.
it.
It's true.
Well,
It's totally
well,
true.
well, I guess that's the perfect segue into that,
Segue.
isn't it? So that was going to be our big topic today. So obviously, unless you've been living under a fucking rock,
No rock here.
ever since the two shootings in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio, there have been a number of mostly Republican, either politicians or media outlets like Fox News. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. There.
That have been talking endlessly about, God damn it, Trump. See, well, this is where the assassination proclamation needs to happen. So.
It's totally false. Totally false. I'm a winner. Everybody loves me.
But
So
other guys like Trump, there was what was this? I think was it Kevin McCarthy, or some?
Do not remember.
No, Mitch McConnell. I think
There's
was.
a lot of
fuck,
great
I-
men for the Republican Party, total patriots. Go ahead. Go ahead. You know what I'm talking about. They're winners. Go on.
But
Go on.
a bunch of them were basically blaming video games for what happened.
Yeah.
Hold on. I just want to say it's a totally 90s complaint. First it was video games, then it was Marilyn Manson, and then it was like horrible other things too. Like, who else did we blame? It was mental health, and we totally blame mental health, and now we're just blaming video games again. We've come. Totally
I'm actually genuinely
full
surprised
circle,
we didn't go
full
all the
circle.
way back and went back to like Dungeons and Dragons being the devil, and we had Dee Snider from Twisted
Whoa,
Sister
that's
in the
too far back,
courtroom.
Too far back.
Yeah, that's true.
Generations
Yeah,
of
that's
people
true.
remember that.
I don't think we need Dee Snider and his full blonde hair and fucking
Yeah.
like snakeskin boots coming into the
I
courtroom.
don't even know. It's a
So
loser.
for me, the one part that made me absolutely furious was Walmart's
We were
idiotic
just
thing.
talking about killing
Oh.
Nazis, and he said furious. It's true. He just said it.
Is
You heard him.
when Walmart's like, we're not going to show ad brands for video games, but we'll still sell guns.
Yeah,
That was
That's like
ridiculous.
saying.
I just want to say I don't shop at Walmart. It's for losers.
To be entirely honest, I try to avoid Walmart as much as possible.
He agrees with me. You know why? Because I'm a winner.
But yeah, just altogether, it was just one of those things where like, how many studies do we need to actually do that say there's no correlation before we finally go, hey, maybe try something else. Let's try something different. Why doesn't Justin Bieber cause mass shootings? Like, it has about the same level of correlation that video games probably
That
do
song
have.
"Baby, Baby, Baby" would make me do genocide
See,
way quicker.
Justin
than
Bieber's
any
song
kind of
"Baby" is
Nazi
making
killing
you
game.
want to kill babies. Write it.
So one thing I noticed about the whole Walmart and video games thing, it's like saying we're going to take away teen sex ed books, but we're still going to sell birth control.
Yeah.
Like it's
It's the weird, like, not even double-edged sword so much as it's just like they want their cake and eat it too, but the problem is the cake's already 6 feet under the ground and they're trying to dig it back up.
I
And
love cake. It's great cake.
yeah, we
I've
noticed
gotten
that.
married 3 times, wedding cake at each of them. It's why I'm totally pro-life. My 4th wife hasn't even been born yet.
That was good, but I'm still
And
thinking
look,
about cake. Though.
I just gotta say, we all gotta be very careful. We totally blame video games just like we did the 90s, and things have a way of repeating themselves. Watch out, Crooked Hillary's gonna try and run again. And she's a total loser, and she totally killed Epstein. Not that I'm pushing that
Oh my god!
conspiracy.
I don't even want to go that far.
yeah, we're not going that
So-
far.
So Chris, because you haven't had a chance to really go on this. So what do you think about all that's been going on here with the even with the stuff with Trump and the Republican Party and Fox News, even Walmart, like specifically all this stuff? Well, what are your immediate thoughts on it?
My immediate thoughts are that it's such a simple concept that I saw a great post on Twitter that was actually went out by Reggie, the former CEO of Nintendo of America, when he just He just retired a couple months ago, I think, in April.
Yeah.
And he put out a tweet, and all it said was just facts. And right below it was an image where it showed each country and the number of game
and then,
sales per country.
Literally, all of them were literally like just the tiniest line, and then the U.S. was just...
Yeah, because the first picture was just game revenue, and then the second chart right next to it was mass shootings. And every country... USA wasn't even number one. It was like South Korea, China, a bunch
I think
of other...
Japan was number one for sales. I think it was Japan, South Korea, and maybe one other.
I think it was China, Japan, South Korea. I want to say it was those
it was definitely like the three main Asian countries that you would expect.
And then US
because,
was number 4.
Well, I mean, fuck, like China, you have a billion
They totally
people.
would
You should.
shoot more. They just have horrible eyesight. It's true.
China's that. Japan is literally the biggest exporter of games. In South Korea, video games are literally a sport.
They're a sport
so it's
thing.
not that surprising.
It's insane. So, like, I saw that tweet, and the fact that it came out from the former CEO of Nintendo of America, which is like already a company that's known for having no violence in their games at all.
Even in retirement, Reggie blesses us all.
Yeah. So it's like every country, all the USA I think was number 4, but then mass shootings, the highest number was 249 I think at the time, which now it's at 253 or something.
Well, I said it on Twitter when I was talking about it. I said, you look at mass shootings in the countries, and what I did... Yeah. Also, we had literal cake, which is funny after we made that cake joke. I looked around and I saw what the number of mass shootings were since 2000. Japan, I think it was 7.
Yeah.
And then I looked for the U.S. There was a literal Wikipedia page for every year from 2013 onward.
So I'm just wondering, what is actually considered a mass shooting?
I think it's any more than 2 people.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So like,
not just like an attack on one.
And the thing is, like, a lot of the
person.
Japan ones were small. The U.S. ones, like, that's when you get like quantity and like quality. I guess, for lack of a better word, the quality of them too, where there's just a massive death.
The worst thing is, and I remember you saying this because Sandy Hook, you had children, literal children, not even 10 years old, getting massacred there, and nothing changed. Like,
yeah. It's just fascinating that the States has like 253 shootings right now, and I think tied for second place. Canada is actually apparently tied, I think, but second place is 3.
Come to think of it, is it actually kind of strange that in this age of all these games, and especially because the games industry is largely left, that we haven't seen one game where like you can shoot Hitler in a lot of video games. I'm surprised there hasn't been like even one that just tried to make one where you shoot Trump. Well, because I know it would get banned, but I'm surprised I've never seen the story of it happening.
Well, the thing is, it's like if that happened, that gaming company is over. For example, like when Kathy Griffin
but you're thinking
that
like
picture of Trump's severed
I'm
head.
talking like just some like random
career.
Steam user making some random game and trying to get it past Steam,
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it just wouldn't make it through.
Yeah,
it could show up for a day.
I'm surprised
and
that
be
like
gone.
nobody's even released, like nobody's done like a Newgrounds game, or at least that I've known of, because I would have probably seen the story, because a lot of companies would have loved to report about it.
Yeah.
So it's just strange.
So no, I get what you're saying, but it's just unfortunately like for like in history, Hitler is arguably the most evil
I'm not saying they
history.
should make games about killing Trump. I'm just saying I'm surprised nobody's done it.
But the problem is like with Trump, his history is too recent.
That hasn't stopped people.
Do you remember the movie Death of a President when they did it for George W. Bush?
Which one's that?
No, actually.
There's a movie called Death of a President, and they totally took stills of his face and they put him on a body, and they made it a movie while he was currently sitting in office, and it was about a fake documentary about what happened the day that George W. Bush was assassinated, and it was horrible. It was totally sad, totally horrible. They've never done it of a sitting president before, but Death of a President, look it up.
Well, I mean, there was that joke movie that...
existed.
What was the joke movie that I think it was like Franco that made about the North Korea president?
The Dictator.
Yeah, thank you.
The Dictator.
Wasn't it The Interview?
Oh, The Interview.
Yeah, I'm a total winner.
Yes.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
Dictator with Sacha Baron Cohen, that's
Yeah.
right.
I know.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
That was
That
funnier
line had
movie.
one of the most offensive, funniest lines ever.
He
So,
was so
are we
upset.
having
He told me about
a
it.
boy or an abortion?
It was very, very hurt by it. It was very mean. So
It's actually, you know
Very
who I'm
mean
surprised that, but they have killed him in one movie. There's not more movies where they're killing Saddam Hussein.
he's already dead. We killed him.
Well, there have been games that
On
have tried to do
games.
that era,
Sorry.
but it's just one of those things that I think nobody thinks they can touch it because everything is too sensitive now, so they don't want to take the risk.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So, last thoughts, I guess, before we move on to our last thing here. I mean, look, the simplest thing I can say is, like, we've known for a long time through various studies, presidential authorized studies before too, that if there is any correlation, it's so minor. So if anything, like, I could never imagine anyone saying that video games are the actual cause of people doing this. They might be at worst like a minor spark of many sparks that light the fire into somebody who's probably already suffering from severe mental illness, depression, drug abuse, all these kind of things that can lead to such things.
One thing I will say is recently in New Zealand there was a mass shooting where a guy shot up a mosque. It was horrific, and what this guy did is he put a GoPro on top of the gun
I
range,
remember that.
and it looked... I didn't watch the video. I saw a glimpse and had to stop.
I refused to.
I didn't.
It's horrible. He made it look like it was a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
So what I will say, I will agree on your point that if someone's really fucked to the point there's no recovery, this is almost a trigger to desensitize them, that they think that they're disillusioned that this is just a game.
Well, the other thing too with the New Zealand guy specifically was that he specifically wrote things in his manifesto to get the media to talk about things that had nothing to do with what he did, and he even said in his manifesto that he was doing it on purpose because he knew they would be subjects that people would talk about.
Yeah.
So if I remember correctly, I think he mentioned guys like Jordan Peterson and guys like that because he knew that they would get people.
Apparently, he yelled like "subscribe to PewDiePie."
Yeah, that's right. There was that too.
What does subscribe to what?
PewDiePie.
PewDiePie,
The
like
big
YouTuber.
YouTube guy. Yeah.
So like,
which has nothing to do.
He
with...
did a lot of meme-worthy things because he knew it would get the people that would report on these things to bite.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Chris, last thoughts on this?
I think it simply is just this: every country has video games. Only one country has a large number of mass shootings.
Yeah.
If it was video games, the whole world would be doing
I think we
this.
can make a case, like, and we're never going to get into that conversation here, but I think there's a case that you can figure out ways to solve this problem without just taking all the guns away, but it's a lot more complicated, and I think most politicians aren't just worthy to put that effort in.
Yeah.
And then, Vish, last thoughts.
Last thoughts is I agree with both of you, and like I said, you're just trying to put the blame on something where you can't look in the mirror and realize the problem is right in front of you.
It's a scapegoat, clearly.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'm afraid to ask with Trump. Any last thoughts?
There we go.
I'm gonna blow your mind with totally phenomenal quote. A scapegoat is the easiest of all hunting expeditions. And let's make video games great again. Let's make them safe again. Let's make them totally phenomenal.
So this has become the
God
Fuck EA
bless you,
podcast. But anyways, so we are just about hitting 30 minutes, so I think this is a good time to do our last little bit here. So at the end of every podcast, what we want to try to do is do something a little more fun and less either controversial or things that are topical. So what we decided to be the best thing to do for our first podcast is talk about what our favorite games were from all the generations of games we've played at. So the earliest that we've all can go with was the third generation, which would have been the NES, the Sega Master System, and that's mostly it for most people.
If there was a
That's
third one, I don't know what.
There's literally 24 things on this list. Some of them don't have images, so that tells me all I need to know. But
There's something Atari.
I'm going to start with this because I've probably got the least amount of time because I think I'm the youngest here in the room. But the immediate one I can think of is Super Mario 3. It's probably the easiest one to go with. I mean, you could go with games like Legend of Zelda or even the original Super Mario, and there are other games like Metroid and all that stuff, but I think for me, like, because I mean, I technically never owned an NES, but I did play a lot of these games through, like Super Mario All-Stars is how I got most of the NES games back then anyway.
Yeah.
And Super Mario 3, out of the three main games, is the one that kind of caught me the most. Because the first game is while it's fun, it's a lot of the same stuff recycled over and over. 2 technically doesn't even count because 2's not even technically a Mario game.
Super
It's a
Mario
reskin
2.
of a game called Doki Doki Panic.
Yeah.
Because the real game is actually Super Mario: The Lost Levels. Because Japan thought we were too stupid to play the actual real second game.
In their defense, it is hard.
It is hard as shit,
And so is Mario 2.
but it's the same reason why we never got Final Fantasy 2 and 3 till much later.
I'm still upset about that to this day.
But yeah, so that's my pick for the third generation. So Chris, you go.
So, to be completely honest, I probably would go with Super Mario 3 as well, just because if I have to pick one
And
from
we
that
are allowed to
generation-
double to do copies. Like let's not
Yeah.
kid ourselves. It's our favorite. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I would definitely go with Super Mario 3. It just because it probably is one of the most perfect games, especially for that time. Like you pick it up now, I have it on Switch. You pick it up and play, it
You can
still
still play
handles the exact
Yeah.
same. It is so perfect. But I will admit that the Legend of Zelda, the original, comes
Oh my gosh.
very close.
Totally fantastic game. Great game. Zelda. Total winner. Love the game. Great graphics. It's legendary.
Is he about to say Duck Hunt?
Wrong. But aside from Zelda, best game I've ever played, Republican primaries. But Zelda, totally phenomenal. Totally phenomenal. I win every time. I'm a winner. It's a great game.
All right, Vish, and then you're last up here.
So definitely, it's Mario 3. It's not just my favorite game of that generation. It's my favorite game of all time, and I'm talking about every system, everything. It's literally my favorite game of all time. So there is literally no
There's no
question about
contender
it.
here.
There's no contender on
You're
there.
just-
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's there's a lot of good games, and we're gonna probably be saying this on every single generation, but like just it's like picking your favorite child. You got to boot a couple of them
Well,
away to
most-
go.
It's a long time. It's a long
Yeah, we figured that one out.
Would you date her?
That we are not getting into that. So next up would be the fourth generation. So that includes things such as the Sega Genesis, the TurboGrafx, the Neo Geo, and
This
We're all
is
picking
going to
and
be
the
hard.
and the little console that I think some people might know called the Super Nintendo Entertainment System or the SNES.
Yeah.
So I'll let Vish start on this one.
Okay, this one was definitely really, really, really hard to
There are
choose
so
from
much in this generation.
because it's not that this was an era where even licensed games were good.
Yeah,
So, but if
except for the Home Alone games.
Horrible. Totally horrible.
so
Well,
if
they
I
made a
had to
sequel.
choose one in the entire generation, I am going to choose Super Metroid. And it's an unconventional choice, but
It's not a bad answer.
No, that's
It's
a great
one of the
answer.
great's games ever made.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
for
I mean,
sure.
it's
And
it's Games Done Quick's favorite game.
Yeah,
So,
I look forward to watching that.
I would
run
say
every year.
it's
Twice
if
a
you
year.
ask most game critics and a lot of like gaming companies for the best games ever made, that and Mario 3 are usually in their top 10, if not at least the top 20.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
That'd be you, Chris.
This is
You're gonna be
probably
the middleman on every single one of them, just because of the
Yeah.
way we're doing snake rules here.
This is probably the hardest generation for me because I have a lot of franchises that I hold very dear to my heart, and Sonic the Hedgehog is one of them. But also, there's Final Fantasy's Legend of Zelda, many of those, right? And
Chrono
Super
Trigger.
Nintendo and Sega Genesis hold so many.
A lot of great
those,
Mario
and it's when they
games.
like really took
Good
off.
Zelda games, like there's
Even
so
like
much.
the Mario, like
not
Super
even
Mario
counting
RPG.
Genesis. Not even
Yeah.
counting Genesis. There's
Yeah.
so much.
Genesis has like so many good ones. Super Nintendo has a ridiculous
Like
amount.
if we had to choose console, like that would have been a lot easier. But for in generation, that one was hard.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if we did console, we'd be here for another 2 hours.
Yeah,
So
But if I'm gonna pick one from that generation where I'm getting stuck on like an island, I can only bring one game forever. It's gonna be Chrono Trigger
Yeah.
on Super Nintendo.
Which
I'm
is a
definitely
fair
gonna go
pick.
with
Selection. Phenomenal. It's great.
it's one of those games that like you just go back and play and thinking like, how did they pull this off then?
that. Yeah, they added it to
We
Steam.
can't get people to pull games off this like
games,
now.
the games at that time were timeless.
Well, they also had to make good stories because they couldn't really wow you away with graphics like most games do now.
Yeah, but looking back at it now, it was the artist for it was the guy who did Dragon Ball.
Yeah, Akira Toriyama.
And
Now does Dragon Quest.
And like you can see it, it looks very much like it, but it's
Oh yeah,
it still
the
looks
main
great to
character
this
literally
day.
has Goku hair.
Yeah, Chrono is Goku, just he can't fly or has powers.
I mean,
Goku if he could only use his sword.
I know this is a multi-decade old game now, so it's not really a spoiler. But he also dies like Goku.
Yes, he does, and comes back
Maybe.
like Goku if you choose to. But yeah, I'd have to go with that.
For me, again, it's the same deal. There's so much to pick from. I mean, Super Mario World comes to mind immediately.
Yep.
Legend of Zelda
Yep.
comes to mind immediately.
Oh yeah.
Chrono
Link to the
Trigger as
Past.
well. Super Mario RPG.
Super Mario RPG
Final
was
Fantasy
perfect.
4. Going
And
to
6.
Sega Genesis, you got Sonic 2 and 3, which are dear to my heart.
Oh, yeah.
You have Phantasy Star 4, which is such an underrated game.
That was my like favorite RPG.
You
at
have
the time.
Barney's Hide and Seek.
You know what's another?
And you guys just gave me that look of what?
You know what's another one that I think actually was an underrated classic and actually couldn't use a remake? Vector Man.
Yeah, I can
Oh,
agree with
Vector
that.
Man was great too. A lot of fun.
But the one that stands out to me, and like how Vish called Super Mario 3 his favorite game of all time, Final Fantasy 6, or I guess at the time Final Fantasy 3 because of localization, that game will still remain to me being the best game I will ever play. It's actually oddly enough not my favorite game.
Kefka.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But in all honesty, as a critic, there is nothing wrong about that game. I can't find a fault in it.
It is still my favorite Final Fantasy to this day.
Yeah. Like I have two different answers, and I'll get into that when we get later down the list. But between Final Fantasy games, that one's is the best Final Fantasy. It's just not quite my favorite, which we'll do later. So the next generation we have, obviously, being the fifth. This is a couple here. This is the N64. This is the original PlayStation. The Sega Saturn's kind of there, but it doesn't really, because I think most people don't remember much about it.
Saturn doesn't really have a lot of original titles. It's more like they use third-party games that were really.
They
They
kind
did
of
have
did,
some. I think they had
did have a
Nights into
few.
Dreams, like some of the Sega
Bubsy 3D.
first party. Bubsy 3D is probably the greatest game of all time
But
because of its great platforming and just.
Are you being
overall
sarcastic?
design. Yes.
Okay.
very
So
sarcastic.
So much.
I never actually owned a PlayStation, but thankfully PS2 was backwards compatible, so I was able to play a lot of games that I missed. And as much as I really did love N64 playing games like GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Super Smash Bros., Ocarina of Time, Mario 64, so many good games. In my opinion, the best Mario Kart
Yeah.
being Mario Kart 64. But
It's my favorite too.
Chrono Cross for me is the game that I've never played more times through.
I hate that
Ever.
game.
Oh, I love that game too.
Chrono Cross,
Don't
like
be rude. Don't be rude.
Chrono Cross is a game like, and it has my favorite New Game Plus ever too because it keeps your stats.
Yeah.
So you will repeat the game, literally walk up to the first boss, which is this giant fucking like rainbow colored Komodo dragon, and you just poke him.
Yeah.
And he's dead. I love that.
And you need the New Game Plus if you want to get all the characters. You
Yeah.
can't even get them in one playthrough.
It's also like reminiscent of games like Suikoden that I hadn't heard of before too, where there's
Yeah, that
so
game's
many
fun.
characters.
Yeah, it is.
I gotta go. That's speaking of games. I wish they'd make another one of Suikoden. Fuck.
Yeah, when was the last time I
Got a
had one?
hard-
Well, I guess Chrono takes priority, but you know.
Yes.
got a hard on for this game.
But
Still waiting on Chrono 3.
Chrono Cross also has my favorite music of any video game because Yasunori Mitsuda,
Yep.
as a guitar player, there has never been a soundtrack to a series that I have ever had more fun learning to play because it is so soothing and calming acoustic music.
Yep.
It's just gorgeous music.
That intro music and that intro
Times
FMV,
Scar.
Yeah, it just
it's
gets me
fucking
going
phenomenal
every time.
song. Literally has the only song that I can play and actually cry. Star Stealing Girl.
Yeah.
Is a very sad song, and because of what it stands, that actually will make me cry on cue if I
Is
play
it sadder than Graves of the Fireflies?
Someone also play it so
The-
Radical will cry right now.
Well, the music doesn't really hold a candle to literal video depression. That's different. But anyways, I keep going here. So,
Sadder
Chris.
than when I won the election. Sadder
No,
than that.
no.
Yeah.
this
My-
is
all
another
of a
tough
sudden,
one
my
for me.
favorite game has become Democracy 3.
Coming out 2022.
No, it's a literal game.
Yeah.
Final season of America coming up.
So, anyways, Chris.
This is another tough one for me because PS1 and N64 have so many good games. Like you were just Adam, you listed so many of them. Like it was ridiculous how many you nailed on the head there. But I would probably have to go with Ocarina of Time. Probably the best Zelda game even to this day. And yes, Final Fantasy VII came out around the same time, like same generation, but it just doesn't hold a candle. It's not even the greatest.
Final Fantasy 7 isn't even like top 5 to me
Yeah,
anyway.
same.
So
Yeah, no.
I know that gets me in trouble all the time.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
one of
me
the
too.
few Final Fantasy VII haters.
I'm not a hater. I just
Oh,
don't.
yeah.
I just don't think it's nearly
It's
as high
just
on a
not
pedestal.
the amazing. I think it's just a lot
Now,
of
when the
people, it was
remake
their
comes
first
out,
one.
the remake might address a lot of the problems with it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Like when Red 13 was wearing a sailor suit.
No,
on the
no,
boat.
keep it. Keep
yeah.
it.
Are they gonna
Keep
keep
that.
it?
By all means, I think Sephiroth is awesome.
Oh yeah, great villain.
Little lifeless though.
Yeah.
He's more a cool
He's no
villain,
Kefka.
but he's not a villain that you like want to kill so much as he's just a villain that he's like, oh, he's so cool.
We gotta save this for one day. Best video game villains.
Oh yeah, we'll
Oh,
get
yeah.
well, that'll
We'll
be
get there.
definitely. We're gonna have a giant list by
Yeah,
the
we're
time we
gonna
get to
have a
this.
giant
So we're gonna have to record like a podcast every day to max out all these lists we're gonna do. So,
Yeah.
anyways, Fish.
Okay, so I have two of these ones.
I'm gonna make you shoot one eventually.
One of them is Ocarina of Time,
Mm-hmm.
but ironically, I played that on the DS, not on the N64. I
Okay.
never
Still
had an
counts.
N64.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the exact
so
same
it
thing.
was the same generation, the only graphics upgrade. But for another one, believe it or not, Legend Dragoon.
I loved that.
That is a very good game.
I thought it was the pinnacle of the PlayStation. It had the strongest graphics for the PlayStation. The music was amazing.
Yep.
The gameplay, especially for a turn-based RPG, was very interactive.
Yep.
And the story was great.
I'm generally surprised that like Sony having all these things on the back burner with
They just
especially because
give
there's
it
such a
a
dead
re-
period right now.
Give it
Even
a
just a
reboot.
remaster, like
Yeah.
not even a reboot, just a
Just
remastering
re-release
of it, and
No,
people will be so
I
happy.
think remake it like with.
Well, you probably
updated
could because I don't think
graphics.
most people know it, but even just a remaster, I think would help some people
Yeah.
sort of settle
The
down.
I would
artwork-
buy the remaster instantly.
Like,
the artwork.
I would
was
say remaster
amazing.
it and then make a new one.
yeah.
I would say that'd be a better
Like
option.
that was Sony's answer to Final Fantasy.
It was, yeah.
And it did. At least I think it did. Really
I don't know
well.
if it
was
did
on the-
critically well, but like in terms of actual,
No,
or sorry,
actually,
it didn't.
a
I don't know if
lot
it did
of
business
critics
well.
did
Yeah.
not like it.
Really?
Well, I mean, it's a cult game though.
Yeah.
So it definitely got the fan perspective. Which, by the way, Metacritic, no one gives a shit about the Metacritic score. The user score is so much more important.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah, that game was perfect, and they never made a sequel. There was never a.
Well,
a second one.
the way the game ended didn't need a sequel, so I was
I mean,
okay with
yeah,
it.
but
Well, no,
Final
you could just-
Fantasies
you
are
could
all
just do another- you could
disconnected.
just do another
do
story.
another story
Yeah,
with
But the
new
thing is, it
people.
was about the dragoons who were those warriors, so I can understand why there's no sequel, which I'm okay with.
yeah, you can always
I-
find a way.
But I think what they should do is remake the game, or you know what, a prequel.
Well, that's, I mean, there's
That
always a
would
way
work.
around things.
Yeah.
Always a way.
Yeah.
Next up would be the 6th generation. This is basically 4 things. The Dreamcast, for the little bit of time it was around, the PlayStation 2, the Nintendo GameCube, and the first Xbox.
Oh yes.
So, Vish, I'll start you on this one, unless you need a minute.
No, I have two again.
I'm gonna make you pick one here.
Yeah, you got to pick one. That's the whole point.
I
It's
gave you
supposed to be hard.
one tie.
Pick your favorite child.
God of War, Metal Gear Solid 3. You know what? I'm gonna go with God of War because it was its own game.
It definitely was a game changer. I'm not a big fan of the series, but it definitely
I
created a bit
thought
of a
again,
shift.
pinnacle of gaming graphics for the PS2 era, and Kratos became an icon, not just
Oh, yeah.
a cool character, like an icon. Like I remember when I played it for 3 minutes, and I'm like, this is awesome, and it was such a ballsy take because Kratos isn't even a good guy. Kratos is a bastard. Like you.
Everybody else is a bastard though, so there's
Yeah.
no.
But I mean,
It's like the lesser
a lot
of two evils.
A lot of heroes in video games are good guys. Like Snake, for example, is a bastard, but Snake's a good guy, and Link is a good guy. Mario is a good guy. Like most, and even believe the guy from Witcher 3 is a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
but
you're-
this generation, like specifically the 6th generation, is where you started seeing
Kratos-
villains being good guys.
Yeah.
Like that's when Grand Theft Auto started hitting its stride. So you started
Yeah.
getting these deplorable people as
Kratos,
quote-unquote heroes.
Kratos, by all means, is not a good guy.
No.
He's
an anti-hero,
He's
for
a
sure.
bastard, but he was awesome. Like he was just I
He's
would
a
have
Stone Cold
actually.
Steve Austin of video games.
I would have
Yeah.
actually voted for God of War 2 if it wasn't for that ending. That ending actually pissed me off like hell. But for that generation, I will go with God of War 1.
with honorable mention of Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Chris.
is incredible.
Oh fuck! I forgot about Metal Gear Solid 1 on PS1 and how much I love that game. Too. Oh, that was a tough generation.
You mean staring at Meryl's ass?
Yeah, that's how you knew who she was. Come on
What
now.
a piece of ass.
They wrote it into the
It literally
game.
is a
It's
part of the game.
feature.
You actually have to look at her
You
ass,
actually
man.
have to
Her
find
ass
her
is
based
a
on her
feature.
ass.
When you're a celebrity, they just let you grab their ass. It's true. Just grab them by the ass.
God.
Anyways,
Where's Billy?
Is that
PS2 is definitely going to be the system in that generation because I had a Dreamcast.
it's the same thing with Super Nintendo, where it's just like the just gigantic
Yeah.
quantity of games.
Yeah. There's so many good PS2 games, but the one for me that again I could just play nonstop over and over, the original Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
A lot of people preferred Kingdom Hearts 2. I liked Kingdom Hearts
I
1
always
just
If
that
you're
bit.
looking
like
for
number
moments,
one
Kingdom Hearts
better.
2.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 2 has like the bigger fights.
Yeah.
But
Kingdom Hearts 1, I think it's just the magic of me putting in that
Well, it just
the
blew
game
your
in the
mind
first time.
because
It blew my mind.
you didn't expect a game to fit Final Fantasy and Disney together
Yeah.
and be good.
How?
I legitimately refused to play that game when it first came out because I thought it was a kid's game.
Yeah. And it's not.
No,
It do not give
It's not
that
for
to you.
anybody because it doesn't make sense to anybody.
Yeah. And kids would play it and they'd be like, "Why is Disney so scary right now?" It would not go well for them.
Yeah, well, at least this time Clayton from Tarzan didn't get hung at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Looking
that
back
didn't
at some
happen.
Disney movies, I don't know.
There's a reason why Hunchback of Notre Dame's never going to be in a Kingdom Hearts game. But for me, same deal. Like, there's so much fucking stuff on that console. Kingdom Hearts series.
Yep.
You got Final Fantasy X. I don't care what anybody says. 10-2 is fun as shit.
Oh, I love 10 too. The Charlie's Angels of Final Fantasy.
Grand Theft Auto 3, San Andreas, and Vice City.
Oh, San Andreas.
I remember just spending time just on a motorcycle, just going through Vice City and seeing how long I could take without getting knocked off the bike.
I remember playing San Andreas and going to work out in that game for like 40 straight minutes. And I
Yeah.
was like, why don't I do this in real life?
And then you got games. This is where it hurts because I really just want to say Persona 4 because that series has become like my current favorite JRPG series.
Yeah.
But Final Fantasy X is my favorite game of all time. It's like I said with 6, it's not the best game I've ever played, but
Yeah.
10 is my personal favorite just because it was so perfect
Final Fantasy game.
in a time of me where I was at my worst, like depression wise.
Final Fantasy X, that was the first one on the PS2,
Yes,
am I correct?
that is correct. That game did the best job of having me deal with depression and also come to terms with the fact of how fragile life can actually be.
Yep.
Because it does not hide from death at all in that game.
No, not at all.
In fact, like you pretty much get hit with it almost immediately. So
Yeah.
that mixed with the extreme happiness you can get from, say, characters like Riku and the underrated comedy that Kamari would have in that game.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of stuff in there that just I can't. It's same deal. The music is unbelievable in that game. I literally, if they had just made a Blitzball game on its own, I would play the shit out of that because of that game.
I fucking loved Blitzball. And some people I heard had complained about it, that it was like an unnecessary side thing. And I was like, get the fuck
It's
out
like
of here.
it's a Final Fantasy game. There are a lot of unnecessary side
I'm sorry,
things
there's
in
no
it.
card game that you
It's a
can get into.
JRPG. Have you ever played one before? But anyways,
I
yeah,
did love that game.
that's my pick for that. So we got 2 generations left, and then we're out of here. So 7th generation. That is just the one that we just
totally have a favorite
finished.
Game. Totally have a favorite game.
Wait. You need to know the system generation.
Whenever it's on all systems, because it's a winner game. It's a great game.
We'll figure it out.
It's a phenomenal game.
We'll figure it
wrong.
out. We'll figure it out. We'll
Don't
figure it
be
out.
rude. It's my question.
Are you
We
trying
will
to,
figure
are
it
you
out.
trying to take over my show, motherfucker?
Don't be rude. I'm not going to give you a question. Madden football.
Just every Madden
I
for
feel-
every year from 94 to now.
I feel like
Yeah.
the loot box conversation might be the next thing we do next time,
That'd be a good one.
because that's a whole fucking can of
Madden
worms.
2020. It's gonna be huge.
I'm sure that just spiked like a motherfucker. on me. Oh yeah, it did. But well, I mean, Madden games. I remember liking Joe Montana on the Sega Genesis.
I
Like, that was
love
about it.
Oh,
that
that game was. My buddy at Fan Expo one time, when they had the sports section, got his Joe Montana for Genesis signed by Joe Montana.
That's awesome.
crazy.
That I don't even want to know what that's
That
going to
guy's
be
a
worth.
winner.
But anyways, let's not get too off topic here because we want to go to the bar soon at some
Yeah.
point.
True, believe me.
7th
I-
generation
You mean to-
literally finished
I don't drink
2
that.
To
years ago.
volunteer for charity. You meant volunteer for charity.
No, I meant going to the bar. Let's be honest. Just finished in 2017. Although technically, I mean, the Wii still gets Just Dance games, but that doesn't count.
Yeah, how is that's still going?
So the 7th generation includes the 360, the PlayStation 3, and the Wii, as well as apparently something called the Zeebo, which I've never heard of before.
What
It sounds
the
more
hell
like a
is that?
lighter.
Wait,
Doesn't
no,
it?
you forgot Xbox 360.
I did say
he
Xbox
said that.
360.
Did I?
Yes, I
you?
did. I did.
Okay.
But anyways, Vish will start on that. Or sorry, I will start on that
Yeah,
one.
please.
Because
Because this one's going to take a
This one's actually really easy for me. It's definitely the best game from the modern generation. That's Mass Effect 2. As much as I would like to give it to any Halo game that came out or various games, I certainly will not give it to Final Fantasy 13.
No, don't do that.
But
Do not do that.
the Mass Effect trilogy as a whole, I don't care what people say about the ending. It's still the best 3 games I have played since ever.
Yeah.
Like it's you'd have to go back a while to get a trilogy of games that I thought was better than what the Mass Effect games were because they got exponentially better through each game. The only difference is they just didn't end it properly because EA oversight and director changes and shit like that kind of ruined it.
You'd hate me, but I've never played a Mass Effect.
And that's fine.
I want to so bad. I own the first two.
Just don't play Andromeda.
I won't.
Just please don't.
I've seen.
I tried. I did finish it, but I didn't finish everything, which is unheard of for me with Mass Effect games. That's how I
Yeah.
knew that it was bad. But the second game is the best, like in terms of everything. Like the story is at its best in 2, whereas 3 definitely has the best gameplay experience, but 2 has the best cast of characters because they give you more than enough. 3 kind of gave you less. 2 gives you the best amount of characters, and they also do the best story mission you will ever get in the suicide mission at the end, where everything that you have done could potentially kill half of your party and even the main character by the end of the second game if you fuck up. So there are real stakes.
Yeah.
Whereas in a lot of these choose your own adventure sort of games, sometimes when they say, well, there's
Like
lives
Heavy
at
Rain?
stake, sort of, yeah. But I mean, you can go with like Knights of the Old Republic and Dragon Age and various games of that, like, they try to play the game of, there are things at stake here, but realistically they aren't. Mass Effect 2, you could literally lose everybody if you don't do a good enough job.
That's crazy.
So,
That's crazy.
I'll leave you next, Chris.
Well, I think everybody can agree that the greatest game would have been Kirby's Epic Yarn from that time. It's a classic.
It is a fun. It
actually is a fun.
I
It is
heard
a
that
really fun
game is so easy.
It's designed.
It's
for
designed to be
children.
easy, though. It's not
No,
meant
I
to
feel
be.
you feel stupid playing it. because
No,
it's
I
so
wouldn't say
painfully
that.
easy.
It's like playing Super Mario, a platformer, but when you die, you just immediately respawn from the very same.
Yeah,
moment
but I mean,
you
it's
died.
clearly designed for kids. It's
It's for
clearly
kids.
designed for families. Like, it's not meant to be a challenging game. So.
Yeah. But my real answer from then would probably be Uncharted 2.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed that game.
Which I struggle with because I tried, but I mean, I understand why people who would like that genre
Yeah.
would love that
It
series.
was... I mean, Uncharted 1 already had done this, but it was like a cinematic game, which I can't think of many from before that. Everything else was mostly gameplay. And yes, I get it. A lot of people have complaints when there's too many cutscenes, especially in like Final Fantasy.
My thing was the
and
shooting
stuff.
gallery stuff, where like there would be too many spawns. So like
Oh,
you would
there would
spend
be a
way too much time
lot.
killing things.
That's
Yeah.
the one thing I'll agree is that's the biggest flaw of the Uncharted series is you have to kill everybody in the level.
Not even that. Like you have to kill them
proceed.
and progress to certain spots before they stop spawning them in. Because
Yeah.
I would remember just sitting behind the same piece of cover, and for 10 minutes they just keep coming. and
Yeah,
I'm thinking
because you got to get up to that spot.
because
yeah.
I got to move. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
But I mean, story-wise, like out of the three, because I've only played the original trilogy before 4, I did like 2 story a lot. They definitely did a very good job there.
I loved the story.
and the levels where you're exploring are really good. It's just the combat has always bothered me with Naughty Dog games. That's
Yeah.
always been my thing against it. But I totally get that if people look past that, they are fantastic games.
And if it weren't for the Uncharted series, I don't think we would have had the Tomb Raider series become what it did
No.
afterwards, because it clearly inspired what they were.
Yeah,
gonna
they
go with.
definitely-
Oh, and they improved Lara Croft so much in those.
Yeah.
Depends on how you look at it, but yeah. And then I
Great.
think you said you were going to go Uncharted 2 as well.
Oh
weren't
yeah,
you?
for me, Uncharted 2 is one of the best games. It's definitely the best game of that saga. I would argue it's one of the best games ever made. It's not Mario 3. I felt
But for a modern generation, it's probably like a modern Mario 3.
It's
I would say.
I find the Uncharted series visually is also timeless. I find you can play it now, and it's not like, yo, this shit's aged so badly. You can still watch it. It's like, because I feel with the graphics, it's still video game, but it's still believable. Like, and what I like about
It's around that era where it's like it's passable enough that like
Yeah.
you could go back and be like, okay, it's not terrible. It's not
Yeah.
PS2 or especially PlayStation where it's like,
PS1.
ugh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
See,
boy.
what I find with Uncharted, what I really liked about it, I don't. What came first, Uncharted 1 or Assassin's Creed?
I want to say
Assassin's
wanna say
Creed was
Uncharted.
2007, so I think it was Uncharted 1.
Okay,
Let's
so
see.
because I feel like, well, Adam is checking for us right now.
Uncharted 1 is it was November 19th, 2007.
Okay.
Oh, that's very
Assassin's Creed was November 13th, 2007. So it was just months after.
So Assassin's Creed came
Uncharted by a
after?
couple months.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I was hoping for this, I would say Assassin's with the Uncharted.
Or sorry, hang
along-
on.
Hang
No,
on.
I lied. Assassin's Creed is literally 6 days before. So
Okay.
they're literally a
So
week
they were
from
in
each
development
other.
like at the same
So
time.
Math is
I will
hard, guys, I'm
argue
sorry.
that they both did it, but I'm gonna go with Uncharted because, frankly, I think Assassin's Creed's been bastardized too much. With Uncharted, it was one of the first games where it wasn't obvious where you had to go. It wasn't like a video game was showing you have to climb here. It was like, okay, maybe I should climb here, or maybe I should climb here.
I mean, they
Like,
still had
it-
some of the obvious things where like you could
Yeah.
see the pieces that were
Yes,
different,
that is fine.
but it wasn't the glowing yellow line.
Yeah.
So it was like the parkour was built into the game. It wasn't just like an arrow being like, go this way, and which I thought was really cool. And the story I thought was fantastic. And I also think Nathan Drake is one of the best characters in gaming history.
You mean Nathan Fillion?
Yes, Nathan Fillion.
I'm
who
still
should be
so
Nathan.
mad they're not going to put him
Yeah.
as Drake. But
He better show up.
That's a whole nother conversation. We'll probably end up talking about when they finally put a trailer out for that movie if it ever
Yeah.
actually gets done. But
Yeah.
Well, at this point, Tom Holland should just play Nathan Drake now, not vintage or young Nathan Drake.
I don't know.
And I
I
know
think
you hate
it would
the
still
word
make sense to
vintage.
put him as young Drake.
Yeah, I
but
think
again,
he's got to be young.
we're running out of time here, so
Yeah.
we need to get to our last generation. So basically, I'm just saying, what's your favorite game from this generation right now? Do you guys need a sec? Because I've got mine.
You
I
go
got
ahead.
mine.
Okay.
Okay, you
I'm
both
assuming
go.
Spider-Man.
I'll go last.
You are.
Yeah.
You are correct.
I mean, you already put your words into that. So, do you have one?
I don't have one yet. I'm
Okay.
thinking. I'm torn between a
Pick
couple.
Madden.
God damn.
Probably going to be Madden.
It's phenomenal. All of them.
So for me,
True.
it's a little tricky because there is a few games here that now looking back at it, I'm not sure if I was too psyched on, but I still have to go back. And as much as I'm so burnt out of the series, the original Destiny did so much for me. And I know that it technically started on 360, but I did move it onto PS4, so I'm gonna lump it in there. If I want to put one that only released on this generation, then I will say Spider-Man. But for me, Destiny was one of those games where I look back at it, and that helped me get through a lot. And it was a game that changed my perspective on so many games. It made looter shooters something interesting for me. You know, because Borderlands is its own weird little version of a looter shooter. It's not the same as what Destiny is doing now. And then games like The Division and apparently what might be Avengers might end up sort of being like, and other games of that ilk. But Destiny did something that I thought was so interesting. They took what was normally just your core sci-fi first-person shooter, but turned it into this almost World of Warcraft-like world where there was just so much going on. And while
Well, from what I hear, Destiny is World of Warcraft, just a first-person shooter.
it
version.
is in a way, and it took them a while to really find their footing. It took until wasn't the Dark Below, it was the one after that. It was the Taken King. When they did that expansion, it finally opened up into exactly what it should have been, which was this open world with so much to constantly do, and the fact that I had so many friends to play with was, as a engaging game, it was great, and then as a communication sort of game, it was amazing for that too. In the same vein that, like, Minecraft to a lot of people seems like a whole lot of nothing, but it is a fantastic game if you just want to shoot the shit with people and not demand too much out of you. So it's kind of the same way too, where being able to get together with friends and just grinding away missions that didn't take too much out of you. It was a great social tool as well.
That's how I feel about Madden and trying to get over the goal line.
Yeah,
Just grinding away.
I've seen how people talk about Madden games. There's not really much of a social tool of it other than saying "I'm fucked your mom." That's a Madden social tool.
It's true, I have.
Wait, Ivanka's your mom?
Oh.
Don't be rude. Very rude. I'm
So-
not going to give you a question.
I think I gave Chris enough time here. Are you still struggling, or do you got one
It's
for
just
me?
funny because all the games I can keep thinking of, I'm pretty sure, like, even though I only played them within the last few years, they actually came out on the previous generation. I think of, like, an Assassin's Creed or
Don't be
the new
rude,
Tomb
get
Raider
off your phone.
series or anything along those lines. Like, they're all from the previous generation.
Yeah.
So if I have to pick something that's actually from the most current generation, it'll be Breath of the Wild on Switch. It'll be the new Legend of Zelda.
And that's the thing. If I owned a Switch, the answer probably would be a lot different.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because I played some Odyssey, I played the new Super Smash, and Breath of the Wild. Like, they're all fantastic games. And the problem is now is that with all the most recent games where I get excited for a game about to release, they're mostly indie games now. Like, I'm not as into the AAA games like I used to be. And don't get me wrong, I do get excited for games, but there's just so many more now with, like, indie games, and it's just a different kind of marketplace compared to what it was back on the PS3 days.
so, with that being said, that's going to be it for the show. So at this point, as
For
you
the record, mine is Spider-Man, but I already talked about it earlier, so
yeah.
we're all good.
yeah.
Mine is Madden.
So, as I think you guys probably figured out, this podcast isn't exactly going to be a professional podcast. I think we made that pretty clear in this first episode. This is literally just us sitting and just chatting with each other like we would at
This
the
is
fucking
totally phenomenal.
bar, and including the odd appearance from a wild Donald Trump.
Adam
True.
Trump.
Don't be rude. Don't cut him off like that. It's very rude. Very, very rude. I'm a winner, and Madden is a winner too.
All right, take it easy there, fake news. So, with that being said, guys, I
Madden
hope you enjoyed this first really probably shit edition of the VCR
I
podcast.
loved it. It was phenomenal.
Well, yeah. Well, you're biased.
You're wrong.
So everybody's gonna plug their stuff, and we're gonna go. So Vish, plug whatever you need to plug. That means you got to talk and tell me all the things
I'm
that you
gonna
got to plug.
Melania.
Like
okay,
I don't know,
here
like
go.
your Twitter, Instagram, like anything
Okay.
that's important.
So you can follow me on all the major handles at Views Vishals. That's VIEWSVISHALS.
Seems like I had to struggle a bit on that one, buddy.
I did have 2 vodka sodas, which were basically vodka with a drop of soda.
I never drink. I don't touch the stuff. Go ahead, Chris.
Would you like a cider?
Wrong.
Yeah, you can follow him at Real Donald Trump on Twitter.
Yeah, at Real Donald Trump.
Chris, where can we hit you up?
So you can find my Twitter where it's Jin_N, just the letter N, _ Chris, one more underscore because the other one was already taken,
'Cause Twitter.
unfortunately, because Twitter. Or you can also find me on Twitch, where I sometimes go live, just playing, variety games, nothing crazy. I'm not I'm not playing Fortnite.
I keep
Do not expect any
considering
Fortnite.
trying to Twitch stream, and then I keep reminding myself that when I play games, I never talk.
Yeah, you do need to.
I
talk
play
to-
president and I talk a lot.
yeah, you do.
My Twitch handle is Jin_N_ Chris. No extra underscore needed. That one I was able to just get. And again, I do not play Fortnite. Do not come to watch me play Fortnite. I will not be doing
Dude.
that. Chances are I'm playing a JRPG, and you're going to be stuck watching me do random battles as I grind out levels.
You don't play Fortnite, but do you play Fortnite?
I play Fortnite. No,
All right, cool.
Go on.
And then lastly, of course, with me, guys, you're already here on the channel, so like and subscribe for all this stuff. You can follow me on Twitter at CSRadical, and that's about it, because I can't get myself to use any others. Twitter has been a struggle just for me to get to use that. And,
And now it's time for everybody to go back to the shithole they came from.
So my apartment. Okay. So with that being said, guys, thanks for watching. And like I said, like and subscribe. Share the video if you think would love to hear this mess. I'm not sure why. And of course, leave us comments, because I need to know how much you think Vishal needs to be kicked off this podcast, because I'm going to say that every single week now.
Suck it.
Also,
Buddy, he didn't say anything about me getting kicked off because I'm a winner.
also leave.
That's
comments
because I don't
for
think I
any-
could if I wanted to.
Also, leave any comments for any subjects or anything.
Yeah,
that
exactly,
You guys
like-
want to hear?
And I mean, hopefully as this keeps going forward, I don't know how often we're going to do this, but hopefully as we keep going forward, we keep doing more stuff with it. Once a
Yeah.
month, ideally.
That would be nice.
But I mean, and this could also be something that if we figure out how to do like Skype or something like that, can make it a little bit easier. But
Absolutely.
we'll get to that as we cross that road. So
Yeah.
once more time, guys, because I'm always terrible at any of these things if you've known my channel well enough. Thanks for watching, and we'll all see you next time.